Honorable Stockwell Day is now part of a group trying to establish a $15 billion refinery to take more bitumen from the oil sands. Mr. Day, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Okay, Avi Lewis and his team would say, are you crazy? There is already way more bitumen in storage being refined than is safe for the planet to use. What would you say to him?
Well, there's not only a lot of bitumen out there and moving, we want to, in fact, do something very positive with this. A huge percentage, in fact, the majority of our crude oil flows straight to the United States, where it's refined, and it's refined in refineries which are nowhere near as environmentally sensitive as what we are proposing. We are proposing to refine the bitumen out of the oil, make sure that bitumen never goes on water. We have a process in place that will eventually be a zero-emission refinery, unlike anything in the world. And we have some fabulous First Nation support for what we are talking about doing.
Well, Crystal Lehman is with us, and she's part of that massive lawsuit to shut down this kind of development. Yet you've been able to get two former national chiefs as part of this bitumen refining project that takes more from the oil sands in Alberta. Why have you had success working with Aboriginal groups?
Primarily, as they have told us, it's because we recognize that these type of discussions have to happen on a government-to-government basis. You have to not just respect First Nations and Indigenous people for who they are, but you have to respect for what they are as a group, and they are, in fact, an order of government. So you can't come at them as so many other development projects have, and kind of the approach of, hey, have we got a deal for you? But you have to approach it saying government to government, respecting that particular level, and putting forward the proposal and saying, how can we, and can we, in fact, work together in a way that's going to minimize the effect on the environment, and is going to maximize the benefits, first of all, to First Nations groups. And that's what's brought us some considerable and significant First Nations support. Matter of fact, Equity is on our advisory council, and Sean Atleo is, in fact, on our management team and on our board.
And what do you think of the Beaver Lake lawsuit? It could have a radical effect on the oil sand developments.
Well, you know, these various suits have to proceed and go through the courts. Our approach has always been and will continue to be that if you do these things in a certain way, you don't have to get to that place. Frankly, if we didn't have the respect and the support from the First Nations groups that we do have, we wouldn't pursue it. We don't want to see it devolve into battling in court. There has to be a real sense from the heart as well as from the mind that this is something that is going to be unique, beneficial to First Nations, and positive on the environment. If you have to fight it, we're not interested.
Address for us the poverty issues that come from the climate justice debate, that any fossil fuel released contributes to global warming, and therefore in the poorest marginal areas where people are making their living off the sea, where coastal lines are being eroded, poverty is massively increased because we're still burning our oil.
Well, in fact, around the world, Asia principally, and certainly also in Africa, where hundreds of millions of people are still in poverty, we are seeing the joyful prospect of people by the tens of millions moving out of poverty and moving into middle income status and becoming able to have some sense of their destiny over their healthcare issues, over infrastructure. They need hospitals, they need schools, they need roads, they need clean water. And as much as I believe we are continuing to see advancements in things like solar power, you are not going to address the drastic poverty needs, the malnutrition, the lack of clean water that is being faced by, it's actually in the billions of people around the world, without getting clean fuel to them in a way that's going to enhance their well-being, raise their standard of living, deal with their health issues. And you can do this with a project like this, where you take that bitumen, which is flowing anyway, but let's get it to the right source. Let's get it refined. Let's make it safe to be, relatively safer to be on the water. And let's get it to these countries in a way, in a form where, even though they may not have the same environmental standards, we've already refined the product. We've already dealt with that. It's actually, I don't think it is being truly considerate of the billions of people still living in poverty to simply say we're going to screech all resources to a stop, and until solar or wind catches up with you, you're just going to have to deal with massive malnutrition, terrible situations with water that is contaminated, no hospitals, no roads. There are answers to this that can be done in an environmentally sustainable way that pulls these people out of poverty and helps them to enjoy some of the creature comforts that we enjoy in the Western world.
Okay, Mr. Stockwell, this isn't only business for you. You have been vocal about your Christian faith, and you've taken a lot of ridicule for your Christian faith being applied to a public policy issue. Are you putting your environmental, your energy, your poverty relief interests, is this part of your expression of Christian faith?
Well, I believe people of faith have a real story to tell. Now, having said that, it's not only people of faith. I mean, people who have no faith in an eternal being or an eternity can be just as concerned about the environment. But people in faith, I'm speaking now from a Christian perspective, we have a mandate to be good stewards, mandate to be stewards of the environment. And of course, even if people want to look at agricultural principles derived from scriptures that many cultures have used for hundreds of years, guidance when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to common sense irrigation, when it comes to proper grazing, when it comes to care of animals, all of these things speak to the fact that we each, people of faith and people who are not of faith, we each need to be concerned and be good stewards of this environment we have. And that's the way I'm approaching this.
Stockwell Day, an advisor to the Pacific Future Energy Project and working on getting more oil out of the Alberta bitumen. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for your interest.